Good, good morning. If you're joining us early, we'll start in 1 minute. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm so excited you're joining us live for the Joy Intelligence Edge or JQ Edge. And as we do every morning, let's start with our purpose, execution, and proof. Your purpose, what matters today, why today matters, why you're here for our show, why you're here at work, why you're doing what you're doing at home and at work. Execution, what's one thing you can do today and make that happen? And proof, how will you know it's working? So I'm thrilled you're here. Let's dive right in. So, what does purpose, execution, and proof look like when you take step back as a leader? So the JQ Edge is not about having all the answers. No one has all the answers. It's about building the capacity in others to find those answers. And in leadership, and I'll say at home, of course, at work, which is what we're talking about this morning, it's very important. Your number one task can be building the capacity in others to find those answers and helping the people around you take a step up, get better at what they're doing. So, what's the science behind that? Organizational psychology shows that autonomy support is the single greatest predictor of team engagement and high level problem solving. Let me say that again. Organizational psychology shows that autonomy support is the single greatest predictor of team engagement and high level problem solving. When a leader provides the framework, but withholds the how, or sometimes doesn't know the how, the team's prefrontal cortex engages more deeply. In other words, they think more, they become more autonomous, they're not reliant on you. Joy intelligence goes way up when people feel the trust of their leader. Independence isn't a lack of management, it's the highest form of that in leadership. And very much, in my mind, a parallel to raising kids and being a great parent. So, joy intelligence and the JQ Edge is not just how you perform, it's how you lead. And how you lead includes letting go of the reins. So today, I'd like to talk about the trap of being the hero. The trap of being the hero. We think, because we use so many sports analogies, being a great leader means having the solution ready for every problem. But that's not exactly true. So purpose, execution, and proof for a leader looks different. Purpose isn't just your goal, it's the growth of your people. That's really what you're there for. The highest level of leadership is having people on your team get promoted. Execution isn't doing the task. Let me say that again. Execution is not doing the task. It's creating the environment where the people around you can do it. And the proof, hmm, sometimes the proof is a meeting that happens without you, where the right decisions are made because you built a foundation. I often think of when I moved from Florida back to California full time, I didn't have a permanent home immediately, so I needed to get a mailbox at the UPS store. And I met the manager. She had just opened her franchise store, purpose, execution, and proof. And so I got to see her every few days when I went there. And then after the second month, it was amazing. She was hardly in the store. She built a team that wasn't reliant on her, and the store operated almost on autopilot. So I'd like you to think about these questions this morning. Purpose, execution, proof. What does your team need to own right now? What does your team need to own? What do you need to let go of? And how can you fill the gap for them to help them fill the gap to be more independent? You're going to create that gap and help them fill it and then let go. How perfect it can be if they don't look to you for the answer, they looked at each other and developed the answer on their own, or several answers to bounce off of you. That's the real growth. That's the confidence. That's the autonomy. So you know the growth, the confidence, the autonomy is happening when your team is acting well independently of you. Not because you're hands off, because you're hands on with their development. You're building a team. It's like building a Lego set. It's like parenting. You're having to let go. So this morning, think while you're on your way to work, what does your team need to own? So let's look at decisions coming across your desk. So we're looking for the responsibility that's currently sitting on your shoulders that you can delegate to the team, but actually, I believe it is your team's responsibility. What's one thing, remember, one execution step you can take? What's one thing you know your team is ready to own, but you haven't handed over yet? Is it the client relationship? Is it a project timeline? Is it a creative direction? Name something you've been holding on to because it's faster if I'll do it. Name that. Name that. Then realize that by holding on to it, you're holding your team back. You're putting more weight on your shoulders. So your purpose today, not just finishing the work, but transfer the ownership. You're not losing control. You're gaining a more capable team that works with you in step, one step at a time, moving forward, that can become perpetual, that can become a really great working entity and machine. So that's the execution part, creating that gap. So this is going to sound odd, but the execution here in doing this, in letting go, is restraint. It's sometimes the hardest thing to do when you're used to being so hands-on because you started it. You created the team, the business. So it's hard to let go and build that trust. That's where you have our best tool, the chair of joy. The chair of joy is the tool to help you stay in the room without taking over the room. It's execution for empowering independence. So when a problem's presented to you today, don't just solve it. Let's create the gap and see if your team can fill it. Present the issue, wait, listen, and ask open-ended questions. What do you think? How can we solve it? Who can work together? What do you all think is the best solution? So let's do a quick chair of joy. When you sit with your team or before you even walk in, stay in the car. If you're working from home, sit in the chair before you start anything. Arrive as a coach, not the hero. Take a deep breath in, hold it, breathe out. Silence is where the best growth can happen. Think, what question will help them find the answer? What question will help them find the answer? Feel. Feel the pride of watching them step up. Feel the joy of watching them interact and create. Feel more joy when you just walk away and let them work on it and then come to you with a couple of solutions. That's something that will stay with you and keep building. And so I remind you that when you do sit, breathe, think, feel, the answers will come to you. Your brain will give you the best answer because you're resetting. So before you walk into that briefing, before you walk into that urgency, before you open that urgent email, what can you let the team do? Sit, arrive, really guide. You're here to support, not carry the load all by yourself. So when you breathe, silence is not a vacuum, it's an invitation. And you're just waiting a moment. Give your team the space to speak first. And then this is really the fuel. What does the team need from you? Not a solution, but what does your team need to build, to create, to have the freedom to create an answer? Mostly your trust. So let the feeling of a self-sustaining team be your goal. That's the point of leadership. Creating a self-sustaining perpetual machine, making everybody better through your leadership. And the execution check-in. Am I creating a gap for my team to fill? Or am I crowding the space with my own answers? Sometimes I can't help myself and I talk too much. So I'm really practicing on posing a question and listening more. Letting team members with their own special expertise fill the gap. So the proof today is not your personal success. It's feeling the energy in the room when you let go. It's your team's success. Let that be the proof. The proof is when you hear the team members say, I've got this, we've got this, we decided to try this. Not because of permission, but because you gave them the joy intelligence edge, the JQ edge, the framework. You gave them the building, and now they can use all the tools inside. They provide the action. So what will that look like in your office? Do you have a collaborative whiteboard? Do you have a chalkboard? The email thread where they solve the conflict themselves. The moment you realize you could actually focus on the big picture, because really that's what you're there for, and making everybody better, is the foundation. That's the real proof. And that proof might take a few times. You're there to be the anchor and to make them better. So they can come to you with questions, not the solution. So as a leader's joy intelligence rises, several things happen. Independence grows. The team knows how to win. The practice is giving them the ball. So proof today, did my team take ownership? Did I see them rely on their own brilliance, which is why I have them on my team? So remember, purpose, execution, proof. Remember, you can go to YouTube, re-listen to this. Tomorrow, we'll talk about the next step in leadership with Joy Intelligence. And thank you for joining us live. Message us if you have questions. And remember, this is the JQ Edge, Joy Intelligence. We train it by living it. Let's get the edge together. We'll see you tomorrow morning.